Okay.
This isn't about history at all. This is about characters who are afraid of change.
I have prepared for you. I'm going to take my headphones off so that I can breathe easier. Speak easier. Okay. So I have a list right here of the top 10 cards and strats from Darkness Ablaze. Darkness Ablaze is the new set that is coming out on August 14th. It'll come out a little bit before that, maybe. But it'll be legal on August 14th. On August 14th, it will be on PTCGO, and you'll be able to play it. You'll be able to buy and trade the packs. Okay, so I've gone through all of the Darkness Ablaze cards, and I've picked the top 10 cards and strats. Sometimes I've included 2 cards together because they're like very similar or they go together in a deck. But these are kind of the top 10 things to look out for. There are lots and lots of videos on YouTube already of people kind of going through all of the cards in Darkness Ablaze or giving their thoughts on kind of everything. But I wanted to give a short form, kind of the stuff you need to know of what's important in Darkness Ablaze. All right, Old Computer is not number 1. I think I might play Old Computer a little bit for the meme, but Old Computer is not the one. Not the Old Computer's bad. All right, so let's get started. Our number 10 is going to be Rose and Rose's Tower. So this is kind of an energy acceleration combo for Vmaxes. Rose is a supporter that lets you attach 2 energy from your discard pile to a Vmax, right? And then you have to discard your hand as cost. Energy acceleration is already good. I think Rose is all right in that it'll make Vmaxes that don't have any energy acceleration. So like if you can't use Welder or you can't use Metal Saucer, like other Vmaxes now have that energy acceleration. So I'm thinking about stuff like Rillaboom V or Inteleon V. Those decks are going to be more happy to see this. I don't know, even like Meowth Vmax, like all of those kind of Vmaxes that just need something to accelerate energy onto it, now have a generic supporter that can do it. And Rose's Tower is a stadium that during either player's turn, once per turn, they can draw if they have they can draw until they have 3 in their hand. So the combo is you play the stadium, you use Rose, you attach the 2 energy, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. Downside is your opponent also gets to draw up to 3 cards if they don't have that many cards in their hand, and Chaotic Swell also exists, so yeah, you can discard your hand and not get the result of that. But I think it also depends on the deck. I think this will be better when we have cards like Togekiss VMAX, where discarding your hand isn't that much of a bad thing because you'll find a supporter next turn with the Togepass. But yeah, Rose's Tower is kind of generic. Rose and Rose's Tower is like generic energy acceleration, and it's all right and it's pretty good, and you'll probably see it on the PTCGO ladder. All right, number 9 is Mad Party. This is the deck I was talking about as being very similar to Night March. There's a total of 4 Pokemon, and you're going to play 4 copies of all the Pokemon, so that's 16 Pokemon that all have this attack called Mad Party. And what Mad Party does is it does 20 damage times the amount of Pokemon with Mad Party in your discard pile, right? It's Night March basically, except like Pokemon kind of knows how broken and how overpowered Night March was, so they kind of made Lost March as trying to be like a more low-powered Night March, but Lost March really couldn't hit the numbers it needed to do in like tag team format in order to really keep up. So Mad Party seems stronger than Lost March, but it probably won't be as strong as Night March was. But who knows, they'll probably make more Mad Party stuff in the future. And I think there's lots of interesting kind of ways this deck can be built. Blitzel is rotating out. The Blitzel that evolves into Zebstrika is rotating out. So that's not really a way to get stuff into the discard as quickly. But we have Dedenes, we have Research. I don't know, we'll be able to discard stuff fast and hit big numbers, but that being said, we are entering a format of like 340 HP Pokemon, like huge Pokemon. So I don't know if Mad Party will be able to just keep up with the huge numbers. But that being said, this is our first set of Mad Party. I think in future booster packs, they might release even more Mad Party attackers, which the more cards that are printed that have the Mad Party attack on it, the stronger the whole archetype becomes. And so the Galarian Mr. Rime, you're probably never going to want to evolve this. Like, the ability doesn't do anything that matters. You have two kind of smaller basic attackers that can attack for double colorless. And then the other one, this one's also stage 1, this like Sinistea, or it's the thing that evolves from Sinistea, I forget the name. It's like Poltergeist something. But this ability here, it's basically trade. You can discard one Mad Party attacker and draw 2. So it'll get them out of your hand, and it's also a draw thing. It sucks that it's a stage 1 with 60 HP. That's kind of low. Sometimes I think it may just be faster to search out all your Mad Partiers and then Dedenne. Like, sometimes I think it's not even worth evolving this, especially since the pre-evolution only has like 30 HP. But I don't know. I will be experimenting with this deck, and I think this deck is good. And it's also like Alice in Wonderland themed, which I love. I think it's awesome. I love Alice in Wonderland so much. And so the fact that they're printing Pokemon cards that are all kind of themed around Alice in Wonderland is just really cool. All right, so number 8 is Toughness Cape. Toughness Cape is really good. It's a tool that increases a Pokemon's HP by 50, and it cannot be attached to a GX. So it doesn't increase tag teams, it doesn't increase GXs, but it will increase Pokemon V, EX, and just normal Pokemon, right? Toughness Cape so the wording on Toughness Cape is the basic Pokemon that this is attached to is increased by 50. So because Vmaxes are not basic, you can't put Toughness Cape onto a Vmax. You can put it on Pokemon V, you can put it on Pokemon EX, you can put it on anything basic, but you cannot put Toughness Cape onto anything that's not basic. But this will increase the HP of Zacian, it'll increase the HP of, I don't know, Vikavolt, it'll increase the HP of just kind of all of your Pokemon V, all of your Pokemon EX and Expanded, just making everything bulkier. And Marxist Harpy in the chat, you are right, Tool Scrapper is stronger. I think that Toughness Cape will be kept in check by people playing 1 to 2 copies of, like, I think some decks are seeing 1 copy of Tool Scrapper, but we may even see 2 copies being played in decks once Toughness Cape becomes the thing. Right, Big Charm is the thing for everything else, but basics kind of have a boost to maybe keep up with Vmaxes a little bit in terms of just buffness by this card. All right, number 7, I have Salamance Vmax. I think this card's really good. I'm gonna do lots of experimenting with this card. It'll do 240, and then this first attack will do 40 to 2 different Pokemon. It's called Twin Sonic, I think. This attack's called Transflight, which I think is great. So it can do 40 2 places, it can do 240. You can pair this with Porygon Z to attach special energy to it. You can combine it with Welder. You can do lots of cool stuff. I think Salamance Vmax is gonna be good, and you'll definitely see it a lot on the PTCGO ladder, and I think it can maybe even become really, really great. I think kind of from what I've seen, Scorch Vmax looks a little bit stronger than Salamance Vmax, but I think this deck could be really, really good. And I'm excited. I'm probably going to build this. And it's cool because it's not a dragon. That's true. Like, being colorless is awesome. So number 6, we have Decidueye and Altaria. I put these cards together because they have the same ability. You won't play these 2 cards together in the same deck. You will probably either play a Decidueye specific deck or a different type of deck where you just happen to put in a 1/1 or a 2/2 line of Altaria. They both have the same ability, which is they cannot be damaged by Pokemon V, which includes Vmax, or GX, right? So it's just a wall that, like, you put it up and it's like they can't hit you at all, right? So Decidueye will become kind of its own deck, whereas Altaria is the stage 1 kind of, I guess, splashable version that can go in other decks. I think Decidueye is a bit better because it's also an attacker. It does 90 damage and then 20 to 2 Pokemon on the bench, which I think is really good. It's another one of those like arrow attacks that we see all Decidueye cards having, and the fact that now we have a wall that can stop both Vs and GXs, I think is really good. Does Galarmine help buff padding? I mean, like, if you use Galarmine, you can adjust the retreat cost so that you can then put buff padding on something. But that seems like I'd rather play a card that, like, I can play onto my Pokemon even if I don't have the right stadium up. You know? All right. So number 5, Scorch Vmax. Because Eternatus is coming out and it's going to, like, kind of, I think, power creep out a lot of the tag teams, and Victini V is rotating out, which was kind of like a lot of welder decks, like late game answers. I think Welder Box will decline. I think Reshiram Charizard will decline, and a lot of these like welder decks, their attackers just aren't as powerful anymore. But Welder is still such a good card, and it's going to definitely be used with Scorch Vmax. Scorch Vmax does 40 plus 40 for every fire energy attached to it, and then it also accelerates 1 fire energy from the discard. So this thing is just going to get huge. You're going to put like 20 fire energies onto your Scorch and just welder onto it every turn, and it's going to be big and bulky. There is a new special fire energy coming out that increases the HP of fire Pokemon by 20. I don't have that special energy on the list, so this thing does have a fire special energy going onto it. That fire special energy can't be used with Welder, so I think it'll be up to the deck builder whether they want to tank with like the fire special energy, or if they'd rather just the consistency of always being able to use Welder onto the Scorch VMAX. But I think this is going to be a really powerful kind of Welder deck. Number 4, Vikavolt V Item Lock. This is a deck I'm excited to build. It will be significantly stronger between so the new cards come out August 14th, and the old cards will rotate out on August 28th. So there will be a weird kind of 14-day format where we have the new cards and the old cards. During that format, this will be so good because we'll have Thunder Mountain, we'll have Electro Power. Once that stuff rotates out, I still think this deck will be good, but it will just be less consistent on how often it can pull off the item lock first turn. Basically, the first attack, it does 50 damage, and then your opponent can't use items next turn. So you're going to want to just use it every single turn, lock your opponent out of items, and then just build up kind of resources like other Vikavolt Vs on the bench, or use Tapu Koko Vs to put a lot of lightning energy in play, do 190, take big knockouts after you've just locked them out and then got ahead with resources. So item lock is really fun. Not fun for your opponent, but it can be fun for you. Vikavolt V looks fun. I'm excited for Vikavolt V. And a lot of people are not, because saying you can't play items, a little bit mean. All right, number 3, we have the Shadow Realm deck. This deck, I also didn't include the Hide Energy, which is the Dark Energy. Basically, Dark is getting a special energy that gives Dark Pokemon free retreat. Really, really good. And that combines with this Hoopa, which does 90 damage if it became the active this turn. So basically the same thing as Zapdos. It's like a power crept up Zapdos. It has 10 more HP than Zapdos and does 10 more damage than Zapdos did. So this card's going to be good and see a lot of play, and it's going to be kind of the early pressure card for Eternatus VMAX. This is the card that everyone's talking about. This is the card that is going to be I don't know, probably the big meta. 340 is huge. It can do 270. Its ability lets you put up to 8 Pokemon on the bench, provided they are all dark type. So it just gives you a huge board, and then does its attack does more damage for each dark Pokemon you have. So it's going to do huge damage. And yeah, Eternatus is like, forget about sending people to the Shadow Realm. Eternatus is the deck from the Shadow Realm. And like when the new set comes out, this deck will be all over PTCGO ladder. I'm sure that at events, like, so many people are going to be playing that. This is the most hyped deck. This is the deck that it has early game pressure. It has just tanking ability. It has one-shot ability. This deck kind of has everything. Eternatus Vmax is the card to look out for. It's the one I think a lot of people are testing. People have like proxy decks, and people have already started testing with Eternatus Vmax. People have been looking into fighting type stuff just to counter this. The thing that I think Alan was talking about in chat that we've been playing around with is Crabominable, because Crabominable will do 30 plus 50 for each additional Pokemon that you each bench Pokemon they have that you don't. So even if you have 5 on your bench and they have 8, you're still one-shotting Eternatus for a Twin Energy. Yeah, whenever Dark thrives, fighting will follow. Yeah. What do you think about Vikavolt V, Gengar, Mimikyu tag? I think they can be paired together. I think I would rather just try an item lock turn 1 than I would attach a Psychic Energy and then find an Electric Energy. Like, I think I'd rather just focus entirely on the Vikavolt consistency. But I don't know, maybe you could do something cute with like Mewtwo and Rainbow Energies. Maybe. So number 3 is the Shadow Realm deck. So you may be asking, Diego, why is this deck number 3 and not number 1? And it's because the last 2 cards aren't necessarily decks, but they are more cards to look out, cards that will go in every deck, right? So Eternatus Vmax is looking to be like the strongest deck when it comes out. Yes, we will see what people do to counter it. We will see what will end up being the best deck. But Eternatus, in terms of just pure numbers, is so strong. And I don't know, if you're looking for something big that's going to give you easy wins, go with Eternatus. But also watch out, because I think a lot of people are going to try and counter it. And you got to be a pretty good player, I think, to make all the right choices. And in this deck, you're going to have tons of choices. You're going to have so many choices. You're going to have Zigzagoons to ping damage. You're going to have Spiritombs. You can put in Weavile. You can put in... Don't put in Hydreigon. That's bad. You can put in Weavile. You can put in... I don't know. You could just put in 4 copies of Judge's Whistle and then 4 copies of Acro Bike. Like... You could put in Scrafty, I guess, but why would you put in Scrafty when you have Hoopa? Hoopa's too good. You basically have a lot of stuff in this, and there's a lot of choices, which I think is going to make the deck also very good, because not only is it good based purely on the numbers, but you have so many options, and you can play different matchups differently. So, yeah, I think this deck's going to be good, and I think people will... this is going to be the deck to beat. All right, moving on. Number 2, Turbo Patch. Let me tell you, this card that's coming out, Turbo Patch, is amazing. I can tell you as a former Yu-Gi-Oh player, Turbo Patch makes me really happy because it just makes everything faster. What it does, it's an item card, and I think you should probably be playing 4 Turbo Patch in every single deck. Right? I'm saying this now. I don't know I haven't looked at too many Darkness Ablaze decks that people are building, but this is just kind of my feeling. I think you play 4 Turbo Patch in every deck. I think if you're not playing 4 Turbo Patch in every deck, you should have a really good reason as to why you're not, right? I think maybe if you're playing Welder, you can get away with it. Maybe if you're playing Metal Saucer, you can get away with it. But even if you're playing Metal Saucer, you would still play 4 Metal Saucer, 4 Turbo Patch, right? What Turbo Patch does is you flip a coin. If heads, you take a basic energy from your discard pile and attach it to one of your Pokemon. So basically just free acceleration if you flip heads on a coin. So it's the opposite of Crushing Hammer. Whereas Crushing Hammer is you flip a coin, if heads, you discard one from your opponent. This one, you flip a coin, if heads, you accelerate onto yourself. I think you should play 4 Turbo Patch in every deck. People who don't like coin flips kind of won't like this card. I think people may say that like games will be win or loss on coin flips, but if the coin flip fails, you lose a card. But losing one card doesn't matter as much in Pokemon because we have so much draw with the Denes, with the card that's coming up, we just have lots of ways to draw multiple cards into our hand. So the fact that we throw away one item, that gives us a 50% chance of getting really far ahead, because attaching energy is a 1 per turn limit, right? You can only attach 1 energy per turn. So any card that lets you attach additional energies per turn is going to speed you up significantly. So Turbo Patch is really good. I think you should play 4 in every deck. And then I think once we see decklist, we'll start to see a lot more decklist play multiple Turbo Patch. I think ADP wants this. I even think this should probably be played in Eternatus. I would play, like, I don't know. There is also a thought to be had of, like, should you play Turbo Patch or Crushing Hammer? Like, is it better to slow your opponent down or speed yourself up? Why not both? I think Turbo Patch is going to be really good, and I think it's going to just speed up a lot of decks that need it, and the fact that any energy, any basic energy can be accelerated by Turbo Patch makes it really good. Yeah, Turbo Patch broke it. And there's only one card in the entire set that is more broken than and generic than Turbo Patch, and that is CROBAT V. CROBAT V will go in the Eternatus deck. Like, you're going to play 4 copies of CROBAT V in Eternatus, because it's dark, but also CROBAT V will kind of be the new Dedenne or the new Tapu Lele and go in every single deck, right? What it does, its ability is, its attack doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. The ability is, when you play it from your hand onto the bench, you can draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So it's like Dedenne, except instead of discarding to draw 6, you draw until you have 6, right? So you can play CROBAT, and it also has a limitation where you can only use CROBAT V's ability 1 time per turn. So you can play Dedenne and CROBAT in the same turn, right? I think CROBAT V will definitely, you want to play 1 copy of it in every deck. I think some decks want to play 2, some decks want to play 3. If you're playing Eternatus, you want to play 4, definitely. CROBAT will become this kind of new staple. Unfortunately, because it's so generic and because it's a Pokemon V that is draw support, it will probably become expensive or more expensive than all of the other Pokemon cards in the set. I think it's likely that on PTCGO, it'll be somewhere around like 30 packs, kind of where Dedenne was, where Tapu Lele was. It's going to be kind of like that. But pray for a reprint, it'll get reprinted. In 1 year, it'll get reprinted. Or 1 year and a half, it'll get reprinted for sure. It'll be rare in this set, but and it'll be expensive, but it will be reprinted definitely. Pokemon will always reprint their expensive kind of draw supporters. Like they had Shaman EX, which was overpowered. You needed in every deck. They reprinted that. They made Tapu Lele. It was the one expensive card. They reprinted that. They made Dedenne GX. It was the one expensive card. They reprinted that. CROBAT V is just the next card in this line of generic support that every deck can use. But it has the added bonus of being dark type, so Eternatus can really use this. So that's part of the reason I think people are hyping Eternatus up so much. And yeah, CROBAT V is the #1 card. I think no matter what deck you're playing, you probably want to include 1 copy of CROBAT V. And I think that's going to help you out a lot. Like, this goes in every deck. So 1 CROBAT V and 4 Turbo Patch. That's my suggestion. But there are some interesting cards. There's some interesting archetypes and decks. This list was mostly, I think, just the most important ones of the new decks coming out, and also the stuff that, like Toughness Cape, like Turbo Patch, CROBAT V, that you're probably going to want to add to your deck no matter what deck you are playing. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. And would you look at that? One of our trades went through.